Welcome to Views from the MontyVerse, Volume 3. I am joined, of course, by my co-host, Zach McDonald. Zach, say hello.
Hello.
And we have a great panel here for you guys today. Once again, making an appearance in the MontyVerse is Dan Bettenhausen. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey,
And
Dan.
making a first-time appearance on the show, the legend himself, Party J. Partis, what is going on, dude?
Hello. Doing well, Pat. Ready to talk some geeky news?
Oh, that's great because we've got a nice amount of stuff to talk about today. Last week, Marvel dropped the first trailer for What If, and I have to say, there was a lot of stuff in there that got me really excited. We've got Captain Carter, which we knew about was coming already. We have an evil Doctor Strange. We have more Marvel zombies. We have King Killmonger and what appears to be a team up of sorts, a connective tissue between the stories. The Watcher seems to be putting together some sort of multiversal Avengers. What did you guys think of the trailer for What If?
I got to be honest. I don't know much about this whole what if deal. I'm not familiar with it. I wasn't that impressed or really inspired by the trailer. I think of all the new stuff that Marvel has put out recently, it's probably, it's definitely the thing that I'm sort of least anticipating. I guess I probably just don't get it. Maybe once I see it, I'll change my tune a little bit. But curious to see what you other guys think.
I'd say I'm looking forward to it, but I wouldn't say it's something I'm clamoring to see. Compared to all the other Disney Plus shows and the movies, yeah, it's probably lower on the list, if not at last. But I also pretty much look forward to any of the Marvel stuff, and I hope it exceeds expectations. There were some different clips and different aspects of it that I'm intrigued, like Evil Doctor Strange, Marvel Zombies. I'm interested in, but not necessarily with how it ties into canon, because the whole thing is that it doesn't tie to canon. But the one thing that makes me mad is I want a what if the Iron Fist show were good, and we're not getting that.
Oh, man.
That might be season 2. They might be exploring the Netflix verse in season 2 of What If. We don't know. Carter, what did you think about the trailer?
I really enjoyed this trailer a lot. I love the animation style. It's like brilliant. And now that we're entering the multiverse, we're going to see like the show where it goes in different parts of the MCU. Like, for example, T'Challa as Star-Lord. So yeah, my hopes are really high for the show.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, Zach, you bring up a good point. It's not like out of all of the exciting things that Marvel announced, because they hit us with a lot within the past year of upcoming stuff. This was always like on the back of people's minds because it wasn't, pre-existing characters or it wasn't characters that people were excited to see in live action. This was their animated show, but for some reason, I don't know why, it's not my most anticipated series, but it's the series I'm most curious about, and my intrigue is definitely turning into excitement. Just because from this trailer, it's like there are so many possibilities that they can go with this series, and introducing Uatu, the Watcher, and it seems like he's going to be a connective tissue in between these like different anthology stories across the multiverse, potentially putting a team together, which has me excited because this could tie into the main MCU. The main MCU is dealing with the multiverse in this phase, so this could, bleed into that a lot.
Yeah, I would say it does have one thing working in its favor for sure, which is, last week I think I talked about kind of the double-edged sword that is the MCU and having these big, huge plots sort of, put out there to connect to 10 to 12 movies at a time. Whereas, this one doesn't have that constraint. So because it's not tying into the official canon as far as we know, they're kind of free to just kind of tell whatever stories they want. And, when I say a zombie Iron Man is not something that I'm clamoring for, an evil Doctor Strange, that could be fun. And that's something that is maybe a little bit harder to pull off if you're doing it as part of the primary MCU. But now they get to tell that story, and that could be interesting.
Yeah, and also, oh, sorry, Pat.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, Dan.
No.
I was gonna say I'm glad that we're getting most of the actors back with to voice the characters like Nebula and others, and I'm really just be heartbreaking because this is Choseman's last final role, so it'll be like a swan song, which will be heartbreaking.
Yeah,
I agree with Pardis. That was what I was going to say, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Jeez, Pardis.
Yeah, I mean, we have most of the actors coming back. They did release a statement saying that Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, the Collector, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and originally Howard the Duck, but Seth Green apparently denies that. He said he is coming back as Howard the Duck, are all being recast with different voice actors playing the parts. And to me, it kind of makes sense, with Tony Stark gone in the MCU, it makes sense that they didn't want to just hire Robert Downey Jr., like renegotiate a contract for him just to come back to voice the character in the animated series. And I think that that's why they opened the trailer with that iconic scene from the first Iron Man movie, because they wanted us to they wanted to ease us into like, okay, this is going to be the voice for Tony Stark in the series. So I thought that was really smart of them to do. Kind of like they're not hiding it from us, and it's not going to be something that when we're watching the series itself, we're going to be like, oh, wow, that's jarring. They get it right out of the way. So I thought that was pretty cool. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, all that stuff is kind of secondary for me. I'm going to watch it for the stories and any of that other sort of like interesting trivia type stuff like that. I'll absorb it and whatnot, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time thinking about it.
I mean, there's a lot of talented voice actors out there, so it's not going to make me mad that Robert Downey Jr. isn't voicing Iron Man. As long as it's someone who makes me believe he's the character, then I'm good with it. It would have been cool if they had gotten everyone back, but I think with the majority that they have, I think that really suffices.
Yeah, and I'll also add into that, like me being a Star Wars guy, like obviously I'm used to having voice actors for characters and then live action actors for those same characters. So it's not something that I'm unfamiliar with or that will throw me off, I don't think. So,
and we're also getting a season 2 as well, so should be exciting.
Yeah, this is basically one of the only series besides Loki is said to be getting a season 2. There hasn't been an official confirmation of that yet, but this is pretty much the only MCU series where we're guaranteed a season 2. And that's pretty cool because, again, they could really, like, I think they're sticking within the realms of each movie in the Infinity Saga for this one. But a season 2 of this could really open up possibilities and take a lot more risks than even this first season did. So I think this is going to be a cool series.
Yeah, it's pretty limitless what you can do with a concept like what if. I mean, what if anything? You don't have that much freedom. While you see a lot of really cool and kind of out of the box stuff, especially in these Disney Plus shows, and even getting into the MCU now more so post Endgame, minus Guardians of the Galaxy, like the kind of more intergalactic stuff. You really have a lot of liberties you can take with this that it doesn't seem strange or out of place to do something that's really kind of wacky.
Exactly, Dan, because like when you do animation, you can go deeper into the concept, whereas live action has spent thousands or millions thousands and millions of dollars to like go to different alternate universes. So yeah.
Yeah, and who would have thought in 2021 one of my favorite characters of the year would be an alligator with horns on its head, pretending to be Loki. So just that aspect of what if has me really excited because who knows what they're not showing us and what surprises they have left for us. So yeah, I'm all in on what if, and I'm really excited about it. Switching to the DC universe, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself posted a picture from the set of Black Adam, and it's pretty much our best look yet at the character's suit. It's a look from behind, but we really get a feel for the details, and we really kind of get our first look at some of the set pieces, some of the set design of this film as well. And this is not a film we've talked about on here before, but it is a very interesting move for DC to do a Black Adam film. It's a film that The Rock has been pushing for for a very, very long time, years, over a decade, and it's finally being made, and I'm excited about it. It's introducing us to the JSA, who in this movie is going to be Hawkman, Cyclone, Doctor Fate, and Atom Smasher. And I think that this movie, with a star like Dwayne Johnson and characters like the JSA and Black Adam, could be a hit for DC. Are any of you guys familiar with Black Adam? Excited to see the JSA on the big screen?
I'm not familiar with it, but I think in this sort of current era of superhero movies, I'm kind of just open to any new superhero. Like I didn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy were or anything like that. I had no idea who Doctor Strange was even, so any of these characters, as long as kind of like I mentioned with the What If, as long as they're telling a good story, I'm more than happy to jump in and see what it's all about. And if they're going to put a budget towards it and get a good director and sort of create a good film, then the lore is one thing, but and that's great for people like you, Pat, who kind of know all that stuff and can invest in that. But I think there's a lot of times there's still plenty there for somebody like me to just watch it and enjoy the spectacle. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The Rock is a big name actor for a reason. He's been putting out high profile movies for a long time now, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the whole story to comics behind it, but I am familiar with the character, and exactly Zach, what he said. The Rock is a big draw that people go to the movies to see, and this, I guarantee this will make $1 billion. Well, not $1 billion because we're still in a pandemic, but hopefully
it's not making $1 billion.
Yeah, I backtracked on that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this film.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm more familiar through the DC context with Dr. Fate and Hawkman more so. I was never really into Shazam or Black Adam growing up. He wasn't a character they weren't characters I was really drawn to. So I am more looking forward to the Justice Society than I am the Black Adam stuff. But the one thing that kind of concerns me about the film, and I'm hoping it's assuaged because of how talented The Rock is, with something like Shazam, people knew who Zachary Levi was, but he's not The Rock. So I was able to kind of take myself out of it and be like, okay, he's Shazam. Whereas The Rock's Dwayne Johnson's Dwayne Johnson. So to be this other character that either someone's turning into or that he's being himself in this universe, it's going to need to be really convincing for me to, I'd not say not enjoy it, but really dive in and kind of get lost in this world, especially with his character, just because of how renowned and kind of how singular Dwayne Johnson is in his own persona as an actor, because he really doesn't play too many different characters.
Yeah, that is 100% true, and this is his first foray proper into the superhero genre, and it's his really first opportunity at playing a
No, we've made the determination. The Fast franchise is a superhero franchise. He is a superhero.
Okay,
as Luke Hobbs.
That's why I said the superhero genre proper, and not the fake superhero genre that is the Fast and Furious franchise.
Okay, chill.
Anyway, but that being said, this is his first opportunity at playing a character that's not a straight up good guy. That has a pretty. It's not black and white. There's a pretty gray area with this character. His original incarnation was a straight up villain. The more recent incarnations is an anti-hero who has a pretty dodgy past and who's trying to make up for that past. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if Dwayne can put some complexity into this character, the complexity that a character like this needs. But that being said, the Justice Society that he's surrounding himself with, that he's fighting in this film, is a phenomenal cast. We have Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. We have Pierce Brosnan cast as Dr. Fate, which is pretty awesome. And of course, we have the former He-Man, no longer He-Man, Noah Centineo.
Wait, isn't that the TikTok guy?
And Netflix. Well, he does Netflix.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
have
I just lost a lot of interest in this movie, to be honest with you.
He's
if
playing
if
Adam
Noah
Sandler.
Centineo, if Noah
Oh, this is
Centineo
who
has
he's
a
playing.
big role,
He may have a mask on for most of the movie.
okay.
And Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, who will be a rookie of the JSA. So,
Hey, can we get that picture back up? The Black Adam, the actual like picture from The Rock from behind,
yeah.
back up. All right, I just want to know what is going on with the neckline on this outfit, dude. And were they like, guys, we got to get the traps. We got to be able to see the traps because honestly, it looks weird. It looks very weird to me.
That is comic accurate. Black
Okay.
Adam does have a suit that I will work on getting a picture of that for you. But this was some concept art that was done by Jim Lee with the help. But I don't know if you can see the neckline over here, but the traps are showing here a little bit.
Was Dave Bautista in the running for the role? Because this
No.
looks like the Beast Raban to me.
Dave Bautista was not in the running for the role, but yeah, you know what? As a comic book fan, I'm super excited to see the Justice Society get some love because it's not really the first team or even the second team you think of when you think of DC Comics. It's usually the Justice League, the Teen Titans, and to see them finally like coming to the big screen is very exciting. Especially characters like Hawkman and Dr. Fate, who don't really get a lot of love outside of like animated mediums. To see Dr. Fate expressed on the big screen is going to be super exciting. I'm super curious how they're going to make Hawkman look cool and look threatening and powerful. And Atom Smasher and Cyclone are two characters that you rarely ever see outside of comics used. So I really employed the choice of characters here.
Pat, let me ask you this: do you have any concerns about introducing that many sort of like titled characters in one film?
Well, here's the thing. The way I see it is, it's like you're going to have there's going to be two veterans, so you're going to have Hawkman and Dr. Fate as like the veteran members of the Justice Society.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Atom Smasher and Cyclone as like the younger members, because the Justice Society has a lot of legacy characters. So they have the team is usually composed of older characters, but the newer incarnations are their children or third generation iterations of said titled hero. So Cyclone is going to be kind of like a rookie in this, and Atom Smasher is the son of an existing JSA member. So I imagine that it's kind of going to be a real heavy focus on Hawkman. Dr. Fate's probably going to be a background character for the most part, not doing a lot of talking. And then smaller roles for Atom Smasher and Cyclone, to be honest with you. But I do think Hawkman is going to get a lot more of the meat.
That's what I was going to say. Of those, really, Hawkman is the biggest draw as far as the comics go. All of them have probably had their own individual titles, but Hawkman is nowhere near like a Wonder Woman, like the main Justice League group. He's probably that next tier down, and then I'd say the rest are even a tier below them. So no, I'm not worried because I think, yeah, like Pat said, Hawkman might be the big kind of, I'll say, antagonist, at least in regards to Black Adam, maybe protagonist in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as far as the other three, while Pierce Brosnan by no means is a small acting name, I think his character's going to be lend himself more to a side character than a main character. And so does the character of Dr. Fate as well.
So yeah, you think those will be pretty explicitly supporting roles and not like, you don't think it's going to get spread too thin like we've seen from other DC movies.
And also in the Justice League animated show, we had Hawkgirl. So maybe one day down the road, we might see Hawkgirl.
Yeah, I mean, based off of the Hawk mythology, like the Hawkman, Hawkwoman, Hawkgirl mythology, Hawkman might not make it out of this movie. because there's a lot of like reincarnation involved, and they were ancient Egyptian star-crossed lovers at one point, aliens at another point. So Hawkman and Hawkwoman or Hawkgirl, whichever version they use, are constantly getting reincarnated. So there's a strong possibility that we may not even see Hawkman make it out of this movie alive, unfortunately. But that'll be interesting to see. Then they could do shift to Hawkgirl or Hawkwoman. And Zach, just for reference, here's a look
Okay.
at very trapped.
So they are all about the traps. All right.
They are honoring the traps.
That's why they got the Rock. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe that was just something that Dwayne Johnson put in his contract. Like, hey, man.
He still might have. He's like, I want the trap suit.
Yeah, I want a comic accurate outfit.
I will give it to both because obviously Black Adam's a part of the Shazam universe. It's part of the Shazam mythology. I will give them that the suits and I've been really happy with the suits in both Shazam movies and
we got an
so
echo.
far what I'm seeing from Black Adam. We still got it?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think.
Okay. It's mostly gone, I think.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick shout out. What's up, Jake? What's up, Joe? What's up, Zach? Other Zach? In the comments.
Other Zach. Wow. There's another Zach here.
There's another Zach who loves porgs here. So anyway, I think it's safe to say that this movie should be interesting to say the least. There's a lot going on for it, and a lot of it's good when studios use lesser known characters, because that's what Marvel was built on. They were built on their B tier characters, and it's nice to see DC move away from Batman, Superman, Supergirl, Batgirl, just the two big names. So I'm all for this movie. I'm excited for it. Anybody? Any final thoughts?
Like I said, like if it has the same kind of feel, but maybe a little darker, like kind of more villainous feel like Shazam did, I think it'll be great. Because I was very, very pleasantly surprised with Shazam. Absolutely. I think it's definitely a top tier DCEU film. So if this just kind of expands off of that, then any worries I have, I think will be removed.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Shazam, and the sequel is going to be way better and more exciting.
Hope so.
Yeah. Moving on, we had our first big superhero movie release of 2021 outside of the franchise, which is not a superhero franchise, as we've discussed here, and that is Black Widow. I think everyone here has seen it, correct? We've all seen the movie. And I just want to know your guys' quick thoughts first. We are going to be going into spoilers, but I will put a banner up when we do hit spoiler territory for anyone in the audience who's worried about spoilers. But just really quickly, what are your guys' first reactions to the movie? When you walked out, what were your first thoughts?
So it is not without issue, but my first gut reaction when I got done watching it was, yeah, that's about what I expected. I was like, okay, that's a B movie. It's just. It is kind of what I expected. Nothing crazy, nothing outright terrible about it. Good action sets for the most part. There's one I think we'll probably get into that's maybe not so great, but for the most part, it just felt like pretty expected, which is fine. I'm fine with watching movies that sort of go the way I think they're going to go. I'm perfectly okay to have that.
Yeah, Dan or Pardis, what'd you guys think?
Want to go, Dan? Or
yeah, sure, I can go. Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think it exceeded my expectations. I think without delving into spoiler territory too much, or right now, I was expecting there to be some more kind of Marvel like CGI fests than there was, which I'm glad there wasn't. There were some, but I'm glad it did delve more into the kind of the spy genre, which of course is appropriate for the character Black Widow. So that definitely I thought improved my expectations of the film. I thought the humor was great. It was getting very close to being a little over the top, but it didn't cross that line for me. I thought the performances by really everyone were, at least all the heroes were very solid, very good. I have some issues that we'll get to in the spoiler territory, but it's definitely middle of the road Marvel film for me, which is good because really, besides maybe 2 or 3, I'd watch most of the other Marvel films again.
So I saw this movie in the theaters, and when it first started, hearing that Marvel theme song, I was like, "Yes, I'm so glad Marvel movies are back." Like we know we got in the TV shows, they had the opening theme song, but just seeing it in the theater was just home again, and like just made me feel happy. And also, I love the score of the whole movie. I love the set design for the action sequences, and Florence Pugh and David Harbour were just, and Rachel Weisz were all three were the standouts. Sorry, and sorry, Scarlett Johansson. She did a well job, and although I wish we'd gotten this between Civil War and Infinity War, I'm so glad we still got to get this movie. And I had a few nitpicks, but we'll also get in spoilers.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Partis. Once that MCU, like once that Marvel music hits, that MCU intro, it feels like home. It definitely felt like home. And there, whether you liked, disliked, or just enjoyed the movie, just having an MCU movie to watch again was so awesome. But with that being said, let's get into spoilers. So anyone in the audience who has not seen the movie yet, we will be talking about spoilers while this banner is on the screen. It'll be spoiler territory. Once this is off, spoilers will no longer be happening, but I'll keep this up for the duration of spoiler talk. That being said, I wish the entire movie was the first 2 to 3 minutes of this movie. I felt like the tone of that first 2 to 3 minutes when you see them as the family, when you see them like deep undercover, kind of like that espionage, that really heavy espionage vibe to it. Like that opening sequence was great. That first 2 to 3 minutes. And then the rest of the movie it got goofier as it went on. There were definitely huge standouts. Florence Pugh, she went above and beyond every piece of dialogue she was given. She acted the hell out of this film. David Harbour, I wish I had gotten more. I was like really craving more from Red Guardian, Alexei, as the movie went on. Not as much Rachel Weisz as I thought we were going to get. She was pretty limited. But that being said, what were your guys' thoughts, main gripes, complaints, things that you really loved about the movie?
I want to interject very quickly just on that last bit, both that one Partis ended on and that you ended on here. My biggest issue with the film is that Scarlett Johansson wasn't the standout. She did a fine job, but it was really filmed for the supporting characters, especially a David Harbour and a Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Again, Scarlett Johansson was far and away the main character, and her performance was good, but she wasn't given the most meat to chew on in this film. It was Florence Pugh and David Harbour, which by all means, they were great. I'm glad we got them. But for a Black Widow film, you kind of want Black Widow to have the meteor role.
Was it just me, or did it feel like Natasha was reactionary like the entire film? Like she had no control over anything, like at all. She was never like the one leading the charge ever. Like there was that like moment at the end, like that switcheroo at the end, but it always felt like she was always like kind of just going with it at points. And I kind of really wanted to see her like do more investigating, espionage, just see her out there doing her thing in the world. And I don't think we really got that from this movie.
And I think even the switcheroo deal there was probably not her idea either. That probably came straight from her spy mom, because she's the one who had all the technology and sort of knew that could be a thing that they could do. So that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that much. I had a couple gripes with it, the switcheroo being one of them. I don't like stuff like that in my movies. I don't like being presented with something that is sort of assumed to be true and then essentially having it undercut. It makes it hard for me to take movies seriously after something like that happens. In a movie like this, the stakes are maybe not quite as big, so it doesn't bother me as much. But the main gripe that I have with the movie was Taskmaster, just in general. And obviously, I don't know the lore of Taskmaster, so I can't get into how this character differs from the comic books or anything like that. I can just kind of go based on sort of things that were presented in the film, and then were maybe not explored in a way that I found satisfactory. So, one, the mimicry skill it seemed like that was ripe for exploiting and doing some really great fight scenes with. And we basically got none of it. It's almost just like a bit of trivia that they put in there, like, hey, also one of this person's powers is they can do mimicry, and you're like, oh, that's neat. And it just like it never comes up again. It's just not a thing that matters in the movie. When I think they could have used it to do some really cool stuff. And then the other thing is they reveal that it's the Red Room guy's daughter, and that's which they had kind of telegraphed throughout the movie. You kind of knew that was coming just based on the amount of focus that was put on her, Black Widow attempting to kill his daughter. But what I didn't like is that also kind of doesn't really mean anything in the end, because she has no. I mean, as far we don't know for sure that she has no ill will towards Black Widow, but it feels like she probably should, and that would have been a better way to explore that character rather than have her just be essentially another widow, just in a different outfit. Because I mean, they hit her with the red chemical, and she just kind of like snaps out of it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for releasing me." Where I think it would have been much more interesting if at some point in the movie, they hit her with the red chemical, expecting for her to snap out of it, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm not chemically altered. Like, I fucking hate Black Widow. She tried to kill me and kill my dad, and I want revenge, basically. I think that because that's like, it's still a tragic story because she becomes bad because somebody tried to kill her, but it's then a different tragic story than just being kind of like another person who's chemically altered.
Gives her more agency.
Exactly.
Giving her more agency as a character.
And it would have, here's the thing, because basically Taskmaster in this movie is just the Winter Soldier. It's just a retread of the Winter Soldier. Yeah. But with just that one thing that you said, like instead of Dreykov activating Taskmaster, it would have been so much more interesting for both Dreykov and Taskmaster if Taskmaster wanted to pursue Nat. Like, absolutely. She's coming for us, I'm going after her. This is my mission, I'm doing it. And then you could add a little dimension to Dreykov, who's really just like a one-dimensional angry villainous character.
Early Marvel villain.
Yeah, who's just like they play it safe and they just make him purely evil to the point where it's just like Taskmaster hates him more than she hates Natasha.
Yeah, right. Because when she snaps out of it, the first thing she says is like, "Did you kill him?" or something like that.
Yeah,
or is he gone? And it's like,
and that's supposed to
abstain
Nat, because God forbid Nat has any characters make mistakes. But I agree with you 100%, Zach. They should have made Taskmaster hate her and the serum not work, because that would have been something different. It would have been something we hadn't seen before. Everything doesn't work out perfectly in the end. She makes up with her family. She finds this family again. But she also has to live with that. She has to live with that mistake.
I mean, that's a big thing in Avengers, in the first Avengers film, just talking about the red in her ledger.
Yes.
Like, granted, we know what happens come Endgame, but like, she's a more interesting character that she has that guilt and that past. And to have it somewhat abstained, like, she's a spy, she's an assassin, like, that was her job. I mean, I don't fault her as a character for having that past. I mean, maybe if I lived in that world, that's one thing, but it would not have bothered me whatsoever if how Zach had described it came to play.
Yeah, Nikki brought this up to me after she saw the movie. That line felt awkward, out of place.
I didn't get it. I didn't know what the point of it was, or like,
it was very heavy-handed. I don't know. I think that was like their girl power moment or something. Like, there's so many strong women around the world, but it didn't come off like that. It came off like very, very poorly.
It just came off to me like women suck or like
Yeah,
girls,
I
boys
didn't.
rule, girls drool.
I
And I was
didn't
like, I
understand
don't
what it
know
really
what
meant.
point you're making right now.
Yeah,
That's how I
mine.
took it. That's how I
Yeah.
took it, Zach.
Pardon,
Okay.
you didn't get a chance to talk it. Do you want to talk about anything specifically about the movie?
Well, to add on to Zach's point about Taskmaster, I totally agree with what he's saying. Also, for me, I felt like he was wasted as a character. Like in the marketing, they hyped him so well, not him, because they hyped the character so much in the marketing, and then like he's what am I saying? He sorry, Taskmaster. Like he's just like you said, Pat, like a Winter Soldier. Like there's no meat to the character, and like I really wanted more of Taskmaster. Taskmaster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
no.
it was. I think it was a missed opportunity because I did not expect Taskmaster to be a character, a villain that we see throughout the rest of the MCU. So if you're going to use it, I think give
Yeah.
the character meat now for this film, and then if she's gone, she's gone. That's fine. But yeah, it was an after. It felt like an afterthought for a pretty
Exactly.
prominent
Yeah.
MCU or Marvel villain.
I mean, here's the thing. Taskmaster could have been a character that we see regularly in the MCU. Like in the comic books, Taskmaster makes a lot of brief appearances here and there. He has two really versions of the character. Like his older version, which is just basically like a New Yorker, like just mouthing off whenever he could, and just with his big white cape and white boots and sword with his skull mask on. But he trains supervillains and he trains superheroes for the government. The government hires him to train superheroes. And with this is the spoiler chat. So in the post-credit scene, we see that Val is continuing to build her Dark Avengers. It could have been nice to see Taskmaster involved. Training them. Training John Walker with the shield. Training Yelena on Nat's old moves, because basically you have someone who can mimic all the fighting styles of all the Avengers and teach them to this new team. So it would have been cool to see that, But
Hey, so speaking of Val, the end credit scene was a little weird to me too because she's like, "You want to see who's responsible for Nat's death? It was this guy," and it's just Hawkeye. But like, doesn't she know who Hawkeye is? Like, she knows they're friends, part of the Avengers. Surely everyone else that's of the Avengers
yeah, but you
know
have to
that they went to
remember.
retrieve the Soul Stone.
Here's the thing: she didn't show her a picture of Clint as Hawkeye. She
Okay,
showed her a
yeah,
picture of
as
Clint as Ronan,
Ronan, right? Yeah,
who
okay.
who within that 5-year time gap, within the period after Infinity War, became a mass murdering maniac. Like to the point where governments.
I thought he was like a vigilante.
He was a vigilante, but he was committing acts like he was killing bad people, but he was killing them in ways that even Rhodey said made him sick to look at the crime scenes.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah. So it's very possible that he has a very dark reputation now, and that just makes me even more excited for the Hawkeye series because like this just on top. One, we're basically confirming right now what I suspected all along, that Yelena Belova is going to be in the Hawkeye series. And two, we're gonna almost guaranteed to see a lot of Ronin flashbacks and I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more of Clint's past because he's basically, besides Natasha, he's the one Avenger that we really don't know anything about his past, really. And I hope we explore a lot of that in the Hawkeye series.
It'd be nice to give Jeremy Renner some more to do.
Absolutely. Just reviewing the whole MCU, he's really, out of all the characters, I mean, because, you had all these Disney Plus series already. Out of all the characters, really, he's had the least to do out of anyone, and he's been there for a very long time, since Thor. And he's really had scenes here or there, and most of them were in Age of Ultron. So he really hasn't had a chance to really show what this character can be. And I'm really excited about that.
Yes, I'm so excited for the Hawkeye series.
Yeah, but that being said, there's the villains, of course, are a weak point of this movie. Probably the weakest points of this movie, but that is balanced by great performances because you have Yelena Belova and you have David Harbour, who absolutely crush it in this movie. I just wish that some of their heavier moments weren't undercut so much with the humor. Like they in the fact that all the widows have their ovaries and their uterus ripped out was something that was mentioned in Age of Ultron in passing. And in this movie, they bring it up and they treat it like a joke again. And I'm just like, that's so weird because that's such a gruesome thing to happen to these women. And it just
I felt odd. Yeah, definitely felt odd.
And I think that goes more to the issues that Red Guardian has. Like, I very much see what you're saying, Monty, but we don't know how long he's been in prison, and that he had all these. He's an egomaniac who had all these visions of grandeur and being this hero that took on Captain America. So he's a very delusional character, and probably has a ton of guilt for what happened when he abandoned his daughters. So I think a lot of that, it's a very much a coping mechanism and a defense mechanism to make fun of very serious things. So that's why it didn't bother me so much, because I don't think it was. I looked at it. Yes, there were jokes, but it was more to the character's defense mechanism, more so than just being jokes.
Yeah, but I think what I'm trying to say is, like, it wasn't the scene itself that bothered me. It was the fact that I wanted a more serious movie. Like, I feel like Black Widow especially deserved a movie that was tonally similar to The Winter Soldier. And they tried to copy beats from that movie in this movie, but tonally I think The Winter Soldier nails a more serious political spy thriller and is tonally more of a Black Widow movie than this in a way, because they do explore a lot of questionable things and there's a lot more debating going on and a lot more, gray areas being explored in The Winter Soldier than there is in this movie, which feels more like a straight up swashbuckling superhero movie almost, point A to point B, pick up Alexei, go, to Rachel Weisz, So I think I wanted a little bit more espionage in the movie about the super spy.
Right. Yeah, and we got to see some of. And speaking of Winter Soldier, like that, we saw the most of Black Widow being a spy in that movie, especially at the beginning. So like, it would have been nice to get a little Paul Greengrass, shaky cam kind of Bourne feel in that, like, the espionage. So I'm with you there.
Yeah. That being said, David Harbour did reveal that Alexei was telling the truth when he said he did fight Captain America. So, do you guys think that he actually fought Steve Rogers, Captain America, like the one who went back in time to return the Infinity Stones? Or do you think it's possible that he fought a different super soldier who may have resembled Captain America?
I would say it's more likely that David Harbour's just like having some fun. And that it has no implications on canon at all.
Well, here's the thing. We know that because of Falcon and Winter Soldier, we know that people like Isaiah Bradley existed and were going on missions. So it's very possible that he could have fought another super soldier. And in the comics, they have given people the serum and changed their physiology to look like Steve Rogers. So it is very possible he may have fought someone that the U.S. government may have been designing to look like a Steve Rogers.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, we saw some of that in Falcon Winter Soldier. I mean,
yeah, exactly, with John Walker. So I'm very curious to see if like the fact that he kind of has this backstory for the character, like a layered backstory, if we see any of that in the future of the MCU, maybe in a flashback down the line somewhere. But anything else anybody wants to talk about this movie?
I did want to touch on box office briefly, if we have time. So we can probably get rid of the spoiler tag. I don't know if this is spoilery at this point. So this was the first movie that has sort of brought us into a new box office paradigm where we have this theatrical, big blockbuster theatrical release while also having the premiere access right off the bat. So the opening weekend for Black Widow was right about 80 million domestic, which is good, but relatively unimpressive. The 19th highest opening weekend for an MCU movie, barely cracks the top 100 for opening weekends in general. So nothing to write home about at all, especially given, people are getting back into the movie theaters now. But Disney released information saying that it made $60 million from Premier Access, right? So this is a new wrinkle in sort of how we analyze the opening weekend for the box office of a movie, because you have this weird thing where you can't really say that the 60 million is part of the opening weekend, because you buy it once and now I get to watch it over and over again, right? So this cuts into repeat viewings, it cuts into digital sales down the road. So I'm curious, if you guys have any thoughts on sort of this new paradigm and how you think the box office is going to be affected and how we're going to analyze movies moving forward, if because like you see it with like HBO Max too. But I think this is the first movie where it's like a real clear indication, because again, theaters are almost entirely open up again, and it was a split release between the two. So I just was curious if you guys had any thoughts about it, or are into the box office at all, or if you follow any of this type of stuff.
I think all in all, I think it's fascinating. I wouldn't say I'm one that follows it a ton, but I'm still of the mindset, and maybe I'm being very naive, I will put that caveat out there. I think a year from now, most of these big blockbusters are going to stray away from this Premier Access, the HBO Max model at some point, because there's still an unease about being in large groups of people, I'd say, for the masses. So for now, I think it's fascinating to study, and it'll definitely be kind of this asterisk in the history of cinema. But I think for the long-term history of box office and movie going, it's going to be the exception to the trend that we see down the line.
And we're already seeing Marvel taking a stand against that, because every other movie after this is only in theaters. I think the reason why they did the split on Black Widow is because this movie has been in the pipe for 2 years. They pushed it back multiple times already because of COVID, and they just had to get it out. So instead of announcing a date and then not being sure if the vaccine was going to work and not being sure if COVID was going to be under control by this time, they gave the option for Premier Access, which I think at the time they made that decision was the right call. They didn't know that we were going to be doing, I don't want to say great, but as good as we're doing, as a country, that to the point where we can open up theaters again, as open as they are. So while I do think this was an interesting experiment, there's a lot of I don't think it's something that can be really declared one way or the other right away, because there's so many variables to take into account.
Yeah, and to get into that, people in the box office world half of them are saying, this is a flop. 80 million is not what you expect from an MCU movie. In the 60 million, they're saying, a lot of people are saying, look, that 60 million is coming straight from digital sales. You're not adding that to your total. You're just moving it forward. But a lot of people are saying, look, this is effectively $140 million opening weekend. However you want to slice it, this is fantastic. If you would have said 2 years ago, Black Widow would open to 140 million, you would take that in a heartbeat. So yeah, and I think maybe you're right. This may not be a long-term thing, but it sort of feels like it is. These people, they've put a lot of money, a lot of resources into building these platforms. And, this was kind of like the guinea pig, really. We've seen, other movies have come out Premier Access too, but they didn't have full theatrical releases either. So, so we haven't really seen this dual release format truly until Black Widow. This is sort of the first experiment with it. So I'm curious to see where they go with it and sort of how it all plays out, because you're right. It'll be interesting if this is sort of like the one data point we ever get for this kind of release, because then Black Widow will always kind of be a mystery of how did it actually perform? We don't really know.
Now, Jungle Cruise is also doing their Premier Access thing. So does that mean Disney's gonna down the line put more movies on the Premier Access, or is it?
It may be a sort of the bigger the movie, maybe the less likely it is it gets a premiere access release or something. But
you have to remember, for like Disney films, a lot of kids 12 and under can't get vaccinated yet. So there's not a higher chance of them going. The chance of them going to the theaters is low. So it makes a ton of sense that these films that are designed for families to see are going to be hit premiere access, especially from Disney, because that's their MO. So once kids start being able to get vaccinated, that's where I think the shift will start happening, because you're not going to release Jungle Cruise without kids being able to see it, because that's the big draw for that, as opposed to like the MCU stuff, which is, while kids see it, like you're going to get a lot of adults seeing that more so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, like if this continues, I think Black Widow was an interesting movie to try this out on, because it does have a built-in MCU audience. Like, I have no problems paying $30 to watch this movie, and I did watch it with 2 people, so that's 3 tickets right there potentially. So who knows? I feel like we need more movies, more data on this to really get a good idea of if this is going to work or not. Because, like I said, the MCU is the MCU. People are going to see this movie no matter what. If they can't make it to the theaters, they're going to pay the $30, whether they can afford it or not.
Yeah. And I will say the other thing, you mentioned the built-in audience, but they've also already sort of primed people for watching MCU content at home through the TV shows, between WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, right? So this is real MCU content being released on the Disney Plus platform. So, people are already sort of primed and sort of come to normalize it a little bit. So it's maybe a little bit less of a strange thing. You got to pay for it, obviously, but the experience itself is kind of what people are used to already.
Good point.
All right, guys. Our last topic, in honor of the appearance of the Thunder Frog himself, Throg. I want to know what character you guys think should become an animal next. Now, the only caveat I will say is that they cannot be animal-themed characters. So, no Spider-Man as a spider, no Batman as a bat, nothing like that. And I want to know what you guys think. For me personally, I would love to see Flash as a cheetah, just because I think it would be adorable. Not even a full-grown cheetah. I want a baby cheetah Flash, or like a small cheetah Flash, because I think it would be adorable to see a cheetah in red and gold with the spots and the cheetah face, and just these two
like little lightning bolt spots instead of regular spots.
And when it runs, it's got.
I worry that comes off looking a little bit like the Riddler if you do something like that, though. So maybe not like logo spots is weird.
Maybe not. No, maybe it's just like it's red and maybe it's red fur and the spots are gold.
Yeah,
and then got the
a little more
lightning
subtle
bolt on the chest.
Yeah,
and then the wings. It's got like a little helmet with the wings on, and that's it. And then maybe the tail could be lightning shaped.
So does the cheetah know that it's the Flash? Like, is it sentient?
It's going to be a sentient animal. This is going to be like an animal. Like, you're watching a Flash movie, but instead of an actor portraying the Flash, it is a cheetah.
I got you. Okay.
All of the actions of the Flash. And I would just love to see a cheetah just bumbling around like in a laboratory as Barry Allen, because I think that would be amazing.
And I'm assuming we're using Lion King Jungle Book technology here, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Motion don't say anything about Lion King.
The cheetah's taking a beaker with its tail and like mixing beaker in the forensics lab. It's just like, oh no, and it's got the Flash ring on one of the paws. I'm all in. Flash cheetah.
All right. I like it. I'm into it.
Sold. 100% sold. That's you're welcome, WB. Just gave you an idea.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good idea, but I think I can do better. I'm going with my favorite Star Wars character of all time becoming an animal, and the animal would be named Luke the Fly Walker. Okay, this is full blown Luke Skywalker as. I suppose you can call it an animal, but I'm really thinking more like the fly, not a fly. So like Cronenberg, version here. Honestly, fits perfectly into Star Wars. You know, you walk into the cantina in Star Wars, 1977. Could you see the Fly in that scene? Absolutely. I think he may have actually been in the scene. So, like, just say that's Luke the Flywalker, okay? And boom, it just works perfectly.
Does he have a
You
fly
know?
lightsaber?
Yeah, of course. Except it's like a shaped like a fly swatter.
Or like a bug zapper.
Yeah, he's dual wielding. One's a fly swatter and one's a bug zapper. So one of them, when he hits you, it doesn't chop you in half. It just zaps you real good. Definitely kills one hit, just like a bug zapper does. But it's just Luke the Flywalker. He's absolutely grotesque, but a badass. All the same. Okay.
That's amazing. I
That's
love
original.
that. Well, Luke the
Artist.
Flywalker. I like it. Partis, Dan, anything yet?
Well, I would say, because I do like the character a lot, Green Lantern as a flying squirrel. Because, flying squirrels glide, and Green Lantern, okay, not really glides, but, like, he does fly. So it's cool to have a flying squirrel have, like, a powers with the ring, with the light beam of green, and just, like, kicking down villains. And, yeah.
Do flying squirrels have fingers? Or, are they more like pod? They have paws or fingers? Can he wear the ring? That's all I want to know.
Well, he could wear the
He
ring
has
on the tail.
fingers.
Oh, okay. Well, on the
No.
big bushy tail? I don't know about that, man.
Now, here's the thing. Like, me being a comic book guy, one, I love this idea, but me being a comic book guy, it would be remiss for me not to mention that there is already a Squirrel Green Lantern, and we have to
Aw,
throw respect on his name.
darn it.
Oh,
I was waiting for it.
No,
wow, Partis, you just
Yeah,
stole an
actually-
existing character.
We gotta throw some
Wow.
respect on Chip,
Partis.
Listen, Green Lantern's tough because there's a lot of animal lanterns of the different cores.
Wait, in the Justice League, wasn't there like a monkey Green Lantern or something like that?
No, that was this. You're thinking of Super Friends. You're thinking of Gleep, or yeah.
The Wonder Twins.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Wonder Twins pet monkey. Yeah, but Chip
Right.
is a badass, definitely.
Then I'll come up with something else then.
Well,
You know what would be cool? No, I was gonna say a Green Lantern dolphin, but then I was like, where do you put the ring?
I was going to say a Green Lantern snake, and it just slides through the ring and then has to loop around and come back through again in order to be Green Lantern.
I mean, Green Lanterns. There's been some interesting Green Lanterns. There's been a virus Green Lantern. So there's been a cellular Green Lantern, a Green Lantern that is essentially a living cell that has become a Green Lantern, and it fought against another living cell that was a member of the Sinestro Corps inside the body of the Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner.
Okay, that's too much. I would check out. I would check out at that point, I think.
So the Green Lantern Corps is full of crazy
Partis,
like that.
What do you think about a Green Lantern iguana?
Oh,
And
They definitely have fingers. They have fingers for sure.
yeah.
And they're already like kind of green.
the Komodo dragon.
Yeah, it's already green, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'll go with that.
Nice.
All right, Iguana Green Lantern. Boom. Nailed it. Dan,
You-
I feel like
you
gotta
all-
do this, Dan.
Had great ones, but nothing will surpass Nick Fury, the Doberman version of Nick Fury. He already has.
Wait. You can't call him furry and then make him a Doberman.
They have
They've
fur.
got but it's like a real matted fur. They need to. You're gonna call someone furry. They got to be like fluffy.
It's a pun on the name, but Nick Fury is bold. It has the smooth head, so the
Smooth
animal
brain?
has to match. The animal has to match. Plus, he already has beef with the Flurkin cat from Captain Marvel. So dogs, cats. There's already the beef there, and
That's good.
Nick Fury, though he wouldn't be talking, does have a mouth on him. He'd probably get real mad at all the furries out there, like thinking he was cool and like having to run away from all the furry enthusiasts.
I mean,
Nick
again, I would be remiss as a comic book expert if I didn't point out that there was already a Nick Furry.
Oh no.
Who is a teddy bear? Who's like a
Well,
thing?
this is
of-
hard.
This is Doberman Nick Furry. This is the Samuel L. Jackson,
This
not
is a
the
different Earth.
not the David Hasselhoff. We're not talking David
Gotcha.
Hasselhoff Nick Furry.
Understood.
We're talking Samuel L. Jackson Nick
And he
Furry.
still has an eye patch, right?
Right, of course.
Okay. But is it just like one of his ears is constantly folded
Oh, I like
over
that. I like
his
that.
eye?
That is great. That is
That's
great.
great.
See, it's my idea is so good. Other people are adding on to it.
Wow, that is good.
Oh my gosh! I feel like we could do a whole show on this because now I just have more and more ideas coming out.
I actually do kind of want like a cartoon drawing of Nick Furry now.
Any artists out there?
Ear
Any
drooped
artist
over
in
the eye.
audience, we would love a rendition of Nick Furry, please.
And Luke the Flywalker, please.
And Luke the
Haley
Flower.
Lynch is the iguana.
I would love a what was I gonna say? I would love a like the Thing as like an armadillo,
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh,
That'd be
like
great.
armadillo thing. or
Even though
something.
there is an armadillo character in Marvel, isn't
I
there?
think so. I think there may be. I'm not 100% sure.
As a comic enthusiast, I would be remiss to say that there is not.
Armadillo Marvel. Let's see.
I'm fairly certain.
Oh yeah, the character armadillo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, wait, was there an armadillo thing already? And I'm like, no, that's just.
It's just
and
the
I looked it up and I
armadillo.
was like, no, it's a super villain. I was just not paying attention. Okay, so maybe not. We'll stay away from that. We'll stick to Cheetah Flash. Cheetah Flash is where it's at. Little baby Cheetah Flash, not full grown Cheetah, baby Cheetah.
Cheetah Flash.
I mean, you guys all went comic book genre.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a comic book guy. Dan's a comic book guy. Partis is a comic book guy.
Partis, are you a comic book guy? I never heard that
Indeed, I
before.
am.
You're an animated guy. You should have said like Tom and Jerry as
yeah.
Humans.
as sharks and dolphins.
I was
Oh, no.
expecting Jack to say the Teenage Mutant
Well, yes,
Turtles
I am a
as
comic
four
book guy as well.
It's just
Wait,
four
yes.
well-adjusted.
The
Businessman.
Ninja Turtles as porks, obviously, is what I want to see.
I want Admiral Akbar. Just Akbar, but as a bear.
The It's a Trap works.
It's a bear trap.
perfectly.
It's a bear trap.
he literally steps in a bear trap.
See, I got millions of them.
That one's good. Well,
Oh my god, that's definitely gonna be an episode. It's gonna be a very special episode, and we're all gonna come with like 3 different animal creations. Can't wait.
BB.
I'm gonna jump on Fiverr right
Oh.
now and get some
Oh.
commissioned artwork made.
Our producer Nikki just came up with one. BB8, spelled BEE.
Oh,
BEE.
That's a good one.
that's actually a really good one.
That's a great one.
Like
And
Bumblebee color
Yeah.
scheme.
Yeah, for sure.
Bumblebee colors.
Love
color
it.
scheme. It's got a stinger that folds out instead of the thumbs up. It's got like the stinger that comes out.
Hey, let's do a quick poll. Is that a thumbs up or a middle finger?
That's a middle
It's
finger.
thumbs up. I was going thumbs up.
Partis, thumbs up or middle finger?
Thumbs up.
It's a Disney
wow,
movie,
okay.
so it's thumbs up. But if
I
it
know,
was-
but that's why it's ambiguous though, is because it's a Disney movie.
but he did light it on fire.
I know.
So that's like, to me, that's like, fuck you.
Exactly. And because he didn't really trust Finn, and then he tells him, and then Finn's all like, "Thanks, dude, we're buddies." And he's like,
You're the droid.
Yeah.
He's like, stay away from Ray, you weirdo. Just scream her name for 3 movies, please. Do nothing but scream her name, please. All right. That being said, on that note,
That's the end.
I think that's the end of the show. We will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment below your favorite animal themed character, or if you have any ideas for them, and hit the like button. Give us a big thumbs up. Until next time, guys, we will catch you later.